Over the past few shows, we've talked a lot about the belief systems and false beliefs and how they affect your life by the lack of awareness of holding these beliefs. And something that I wanted to go in detail with you today is there are 7 core beliefs that we adopt as our truths before we are a year old, and they are locked in by the time that we are 5 years old. The core belief is the master decision. The core belief is to be or become non-disturbed. Now, each of these core beliefs affects us on an emotional level, our need level, and in the body. And in the master decision, the emotion that it affects is the hate. Think about it for a second. To be or become non-disturbed. That's kind of the first one that we adopt when we are born. We're for 9 months, we're in this nice, safe, secure little world, and all of our needs are met. We're warm, we're loved, we're snuggled. We are just blissful. And then all of a sudden, it's time for us to arrive at the party, and suddenly we are expelled from our nice, safe home into this bright, loud room, all these noises and bright lights, and then somebody sticks their finger down our throat and turns us upside down and smacks us on our butt, wraps us in a warm blanket, but it's really rough and scratchy compared to what's been wrapped around us previously. So we're just kind of going, oh my God, what has happened to me? And that's when that master decision is created, to be or become non-disturbed. We want to go back to that state of bliss, of non-disturbance. And this, the need that is triggered with this core belief is the need for comfort and pleasure in order to escape pain and feel and bad feelings or anything that feels bad to us. This master decision will affect all levels, and will affect the physical level, and it will affect all parts of the body. This first decision after the master decision is, I want to have my own way now. And again, we're wet, we're hungry, we are uncomfortable, and we realize that if we cry and make a fuss, that our needs will get met. And when we want to have our own way and nobody's paying attention to us, it creates the emotion of anger. And, of course, the need that is involved in this is the need for attention and acceptance to avoid the feeling of rejection. This is a mental state. This affects the body the mental level, and it affects the left side of the body. Now, we're going to go into a lot more of this information as we continue. And then the second belief is to think a thing makes it so for me. If you believe something to be true, whether it is or not is irrelevant. If you believe it to be true, then it's true for you. And when the emotion that is connected with that belief is anger, and the need is attention and acceptance, again, in order to avoid the rejection. This also affects the mental level, and it affects the left side of the body as well. Now, the third decision is it's important to please others. And it doesn't take us very long to realize that when we smile and coo and are happy, then others are pleased and we get all of the attention and the approval. So the emotion that is connected to this belief is fear and held resentment. The need is the approval to avoid disapproval. It's on the emotional level, and it affects the body from the solar plexus down. The next belief is don't ask questions. Just do and believe as you are told by authorities. And the emotion that's triggered here is fear and held resentment. The need, again, is approval, to escape disapproval. It affects the emotional level, and it affects the body from the solar plexus down. I just realized I gave you the wrong information. On the third belief, it's important to please others. That affects the right side of the body. And the reason that information is important is because as we go through this information and understand what these core beliefs are about, our higher self gives us a roadmap to our aches and our pains and our illnesses and the lessons that we need to learn, the false beliefs that we need to overcome. This isn't something that you can just sit down and go, what are my false beliefs? And expect it to come to you. You will never, ever, ever find your false beliefs by doing it that way. The only way that a false belief will, that you will become aware of it is through getting your buttons pushed. Because the only time a button can get pushed is if it's connected to a false belief. The fifth core belief is, I'm going to change so everyone will like me. And of course, the emotion associated with this belief is hate, anger, fear, and held resentment. The need that it's serving is the need to be important or the need to be needed, to avoid feeling inferior or to avoid feeling sinful or bad. This affects the spiritual level, and it affects the right side of the body. The sixth belief is, if only he, she, it, or they would change, I would be okay. Again, the emotion of this one is hate, anger, fear, and held resentment. The need is, it's important to be important, and it's important to be needed, to avoid feeling inferior, or feeling sinful and bad. It is also on the spiritual level, and it affects the left side of the body. And then the last core belief is, it's important to be important. It affects all emotions, it affects all needs, it affects all levels, and it affects all aspects of the body. So just to kind of recap, the core belief systems is the master decision, which is to be or become non-disturbed. The first core belief is, I want to have my own way now. The second is to think a thing makes it so for me. And the third is, it's important to please others. The fourth is, don't ask questions, just do and believe as you are told by authorities. The fifth one, I'm going to change so everyone will like me. The sixth one is, well, if only he, she, it, or they would change, then I'd be okay. And the seventh one is, it's important to be important. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear you share your stories and ask questions or just have a conversation about some of the information that I'm sharing. The number is 773-897-6227. And you can also go to my website, easyknowing.com. You can access the radio show from there. You can also look at the different tools that I'm talking about. All of this information is also available on my website. And so is a copy of my book, which also has all of this information in various forms and in different ways. So remember, once a decision is made or a belief is established, it becomes our rule of action and our attitude from then on, regardless of whether we are aware of it or not, until it is recognized and changed. And our biggest fear isn't that we are not enough. Our biggest fear is that, I can't say this. Excuse me. Our biggest fear is that we are not enough, so we always need others to give us what we feel we are missing. And any time your happiness depends on anyone else or anything else, you will be anxious, miserable, and sick. Your happiness depends on you. And every moment that you are alive, you are creating either positive or negative energy. So you need to look and see, what kind of energy am I putting out in the world? What kind of energy am I drawing into my world? You will create struggle and resistance the moment that you ask yourself any one of these questions. Did I do it right? Am I doing right? Will I ever be able to do right? All of those questions that we always ask ourselves, or that we are prone to question ourselves through, are trying to get a need met. We're trying to get approval, acceptance from someone else. And until we give it to ourselves first, we will never be able to recognize it when it comes from someone else. It goes back to the truth that if you only love yourself 10%, the rest of the world can be loving you 100%. But all you will ever be able to receive from them is the amount that you give to yourself. So even though they are showering you with 100% of their love, all you're feeling is the 10%, because that's all you give you. It is so important to recognize and understand that whatever it is that you are seeking outside yourself, you must learn to give it to yourself first in order to establish a point of reference for what other people are sharing with you from themselves. When you try to go from what you are to what you are not, you'll always experience resistance and conflict and struggle, and it will eventually create disintegration in your body and in your mind. You are a beautiful, radiant, rare, and precious cosmic miracle. There is no other you. There is no one else's experience, ideas, perspective that is yours. You can learn from other people's mistakes as they share with you the path that they've walked, the journey that they've taken. But their experiences are uniquely theirs, just as yours are uniquely yours. So give me a call. I would love to hear from you, have a conversation. And until you decide to share, I'm going to go ahead and share with you about the needs. Our needs are dual needs because we are seeking something to escape something. So on the physical level, we are seeking to gain comfort and pleasure in order to escape pain and feeling bad. And again, this goes back to the master decision, to be or become non-disturbed. Now, the thing you want to remember is that the needs are not a bad thing in and of themselves. They're human. They're part of how we learn, how we grow, how we evolve. What makes them unacceptable in our world is when we give our power away to try and get somebody else to meet that need for us. If you want approval from someone else, then you need to look and see how you're approving of yourself. Because if you're not approving of yourself, no matter how much somebody else does, it will only be for the minute, that complimentary gratification. But you won't believe it, because somewhere in the back of your mind, you're going to be saying, oh, if they only knew me, they wouldn't say that. Or if they really knew who I really am, they wouldn't feel that way about me. And that's a lie, because people outside of ourselves are looking through plate glass windows into who we are. It's us looking outward, seeing a brick wall, thinking that we're hidden and protected and nobody knows how we're feeling or what our big, deep, dark secrets are, that we need approval or we need to be important or we need attention. We all have that. And the needs are not a bad thing. The needs help us grow. But you have to be conscious, because when you're seeking acceptance and attention, which is on the mental level, that's an ego-based perspective, the biggest thing you're trying to escape is rejection. Now, I want you to think about this for a minute. Everything that we judge ourselves about, everything that we feel guilty about, everything that we are not based on our perspective is all about trying to escape the feelings that we have. If we stopped judging ourselves and stopped feeling obligated because somebody loved us or feeling guilty because we met our own needs, then our world would change tremendously. And as a result, the way that everybody treats you will change accordingly. When you start your path, when you start becoming consciously aware of who you are and who you are not, the other people in your world are going to not be happy about it. As long as everybody is behaving the same way and the habits and the behavior patterns are intact, everybody is happy in their misery. The minute you change you, which means changing your behavior causes other people to change the way that they respond and react to you, they're really going to be angry at you about it because you're forcing them to change, and they don't want to. They like the status quo the way it is. And if you didn't change, then they wouldn't have to, and so it's all your fault. And their desire is to get you to go back to being who you were so that they can continue to be who they are. And again, this is not good or bad or right or wrong, and this is not something that people are doing with conscious awareness. This is our conditioned behavior and responses to situations and experiences that we have been taught, verbally and non-verbally, to react and respond to in these ways. And, of course, accordingly, we are unhappy, miserable, and sick as a result of it. We have to ask for what we need, and we have to allow ourselves to know that we need it. It is the obvious part is we will meet our needs superficially. If we're thirsty, we'll ask for a drink of water. If we're hungry, we'll feed ourselves. We'll meet our needs on the surface, putting on a coat when it's cold and blah, blah, blah. But do you ask for when you need a hug? Do you allow somebody else to give you that compassion that you won't give yourself? I know there have been times in my own life whenever somebody wanted to give me a hug and it was like, no, don't do that, because if you hug me, then I'll fall apart. If you give me any kind of compassion, then I can't be strong and my walls will fall down. But that's the whole point. The walls need to come down. We need to let go of the belief that we are anything other than a unique, radiant, rare, and precious being. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And it really is that simple. Of course, we don't know what all that means in depth, but we do know from the wisdom of the ancients that we are unique. There is no one else here who is going to have the same experiences that we do. We can have the same reaction to the experiences we have. We can have many, many similar, almost identical experiences, but our reactions will be as unique and different as we are. It is absolutely important to recognize what your needs are and figure out how to meet them. You know, how do you show yourself approval? How do you show yourself attention? How do you make yourself important without being arrogant and greedy to other people? We know so well how to deal with the disapproval and the rejections and the feelings of being inferior. We're masters in that, on that side of the coin. And what I'm challenging you to do is flip the coin over. You know, how would you give yourself comfort? How would you give yourself pleasure? And I'm not talking the superficial pleasure of, you know, going to the movies or, you know, doing something fun. Those things do count, but it's on a much deeper level than that. Where is the joy? Where is the happiness of your soul? the pleasure that you can feel from just being alive, from experiencing anything that our world offers us. How we respond to what we're being given is a choice. And that's the one thing that the powers that be want us to know. Everything is a choice. How we respond to what our life experiences are is totally a choice. But we, again, are so conditioned to believe that, to be good, to be right, to be accepted, to be approved of, then we have to be like everybody else. And that's the biggest lie that we have been fed throughout the eons. We are different. We are all one. But we are uniquely, beautifully different. So please, pick up the phone, give me a call, share your journey with me, ask questions. Let's talk about some of the things that are affecting your world and your life. Man will do anything to fulfill his need, to the extent of breaking any moral, federal, state, or human law. Our needs will control us as long as we are afraid to experience anything in life. If we are in so much fear of being bad or doing it wrong, we will have a tendency to isolate ourselves, to reject experiences or opportunities that are presented to us because we don't think that we should do it. It'll make us bad, And the conditioning and programming I'm talking about rarely comes verbally. Most of the time we are taught non-verbally. As little children, we are like sponges and we soak up everything. We don't miss a thing in the world. Now, we interpret it cockeyed many, many, many times. But there is kind of like a master design to that as well. It is so vital that we control our own needs. Because if you're not doing it, others will do it for you. They will control you. They will use your needs to manipulate you to make you meet their needs. And then it just becomes this very vicious cycle. The blessing, the gift in all of this is that when you meet your own needs, it frees you. It frees you to experience life. It frees you to be who you are, just to be and experience and live in this world. So when you find yourself disapproving of yourself or judging yourself or feeling obligated or feeling guilty or even jealous of someone else's life path and experiences and comparing, please stop and think. Ask yourself, according to who and compared to what? Regarding obligation, when you ask someone to do something for you and they agree, once that has been completed, that obligation has been met. 6 hours, 6 days, 6 months down the road, somebody comes back and says, hey, I need you to do this for me and you owe me because I did that for you. That's not true. That is the manipulation and the control. There is no obligation. When two people agree to a situation, experience, to anything, when they are in agreement and that agreement has been met, then the obligation is completed. There is no obligation to anything. It's a choice. People try and use obligation to mean the same as duty and responsible and responsibility, and they're not the same thing. Okay, guys, pick up the phone. Give me a call. I would love to talk with you, hear what you have on your mind, and see how we can expand the conversation, the wisdom, and the knowledge to share with everyone. The number is 773-897-3663. 6227. And again, I do invite you to go to my website. There's a lot more information and a lot more in expanded detail. And you can also check out my book and some of the other things that that I have to share with you. Okay. So again, I just want to go over a few more things with you. When you defend, blame, explain, justify, or rationalize your thoughts, feelings, and actions, you are trying to get your needs met outside yourself. You're the only one who can meet your own needs because you're the only one who knows what they are. All you can ever do is share your experiences with another. You can't defend what you did. Blaming is a useless act. Explaining it, justifying and rationalizing it, you're just trying to get a need met. You're just trying to get somebody to approve, to accept you, because you're not sure of yourself. You're not feeling confident in the decision you made or the choices that you made. What were those choices based on? What need were you trying to get met? That's one of the things that is a big challenge for everyone, is to recognize what our needs are, because we're so trained to ignore them, to not acknowledge them, because if we acknowledge them, that makes us bad. We're never told that our needs to be accepted, approved of, are normal, are human. They're part of our experience. We can no more get rid of them than we can, cut off our finger and expect it to grow back. This is something that is just part of who we are. So instead of fighting it and trying to pretend that it's not there, or to ignore it, or to resist it, embrace it. Embrace the need. I need approval. I need acceptance. But the thing you have to answer for yourself is, what does that look like to you? Because we're all different and unique. Somebody else can be telling you the same thing, and you're not going to recognize it because you don't know what it means to you. If you spent your whole life negating, denying, ignoring, and resisting the needs that you have, are you really going to allow yourself to admit and recognize that you have these needs? When we believe unconsciously that to have a need makes us bad or wrong, unacceptable and unworthy, it's creating a vicious cycle, like a snake chewing its tail. You have to see what it is that you are trying to get in your life. What is important to you? Okay? When you experience struggle, strife, conflict, resistance, or pain, you are functioning under a false belief, and you are living in the past or the future. Expectancy is knowing something will happen. Expectation is locking into how it will happen. Letting go and releasing is detaching from the experience. Stay in expectancy, not expectation. This is where this is another analogy or another truth to your job is what and God's job is how. When you focus on what you want in your life, on whether it's physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual, when you focus on that what, and you let the universe know what you want, what you need, what you desire, and stay focused on that, then you are literally drawing a picture for the universe to create it. But because the universe has a lot more vision, wisdom, and knowledge than we do, the universe will create it in a better way than we can imagine it. But if we set up our what And then we think, oh, well, we have to create it. We have to make it so because we're not good enough or not worthy or not able to create it or to have it unless we do all of these things and jump through all of these hoops that society and all of the authorities in our life have told us to do. The more we start focusing on the how of trying to create something, the further away the what will become. Analogy I can give you is imagine that the what is the trunk of the tree. And all of the little details in the how is going off into the branches. That's where Creator has control. Our job is to nurture the trunk, to nurture the base of the tree. That is the what. Keep feeding, nurturing, watering what it is you want. And then as that tree grows, and it starts filling out with the branches, these are all of the details that the universe is bringing, like antennas, so to speak, to bring to you what it is that you want. But the minute that you climb up that tree and start going off on the branches, trying to find it for yourself and trying to see if this one will work, before you know it, you're going to be off in another tree 3 or 4 miles down the road and not even know you've changed trees. And all of a sudden, your what has disappeared. You have no idea. We don't recognize that that's what we're doing because that's not what we're taught. What we're taught is, see, you screwed up again. You're not good enough. You're not worthy. You don't have the value to receive this in your life. Those are the lies. Those are the false beliefs or the control and manipulation of the false beliefs that keeps us believing in our lack, believing that we are not who we really are. Excuse me. So remember, once a decision is made or a belief is established, it becomes your rule of action and attitude from that point on until it's recognized and changed, whether you're aware of it or not. When you are in the charge of an emotion and whenever a core belief is not met, that creates the survival. That puts you in the charge of the emotion. You have to release the charge. You have to acknowledge what you feel, allow yourself to feel the emotion of it, and accept that it's okay to feel it before you can become aware of the false belief that created it. And a charge is created when an experience, situation, or circumstance does not meet your need. Creates the survival reaction, which is triggered by the false belief. When you are aware that you are reacting, it's like the front door. It's in your face. Okay, I am just totally reacting to this. But when you're not aware that you're reacting, and it's all their fault, and you wouldn't be acting that way if they hadn't have done that, blah, 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 that's a backdoor reaction. And it's the backdoor reactions that manifest in the body. Anything that we are consciously aware of, anything that is in our face, is front door. We know it's there. We're dealing with it. That's why all of the big things are never going to be what an issue is about. It's always the little tiny things that kind of sneak by whenever you're dealing with a big thing. It's like in watching a movie. When the camera's got you focused on the face or the actor, there is a lot of stuff that's going on in the background that you may or may not notice. That's an analogy to how a false belief can sneak by whenever you are focused on something that is in your face. A survival reaction, then, which is what a charge is, whether it's real or imagined, releases the extra energy in your body. That's what the adrenaline is. And it gives, by releasing this energy into our body, it gives us the opportunity to respond to the perceived threat. Again, whether it's real or imagined. Now, if that energy is used, you come back into balance and you're good. But if that energy is not used, then it's held in the body. And that creates an imbalance. Now, the thing you got to remember, your body will seek balance, and it will maintain a balance, not necessarily in a positive way. You can create that balance through conscious awareness, through saying, wow, okay, I was in a charge, I'm out of it now. You release the energy, you're back in balance, and that's done through conscious awareness. When you use the AAA method, the acknowledge, allow, and accept, to release the charge, your body is going to come back into balance. And that's through the conscious awareness. But if you are not consciously aware, then your body will seek balance through accident, injury, illness, disease, or unusual behavior for you. And I know everybody has walked through a doorway and suddenly hit the side of the doorway, stubbed your toe for no good reason, cut yourself, done little things like that. And we don't even give them any kind of credence. But every one of those situations and experiences is a way that your body is creating balance. It's a way that your body is releasing excess adrenaline. And if that excess adrenaline is just constantly being dumped into your body and you're not releasing it through that conscious awareness, then, it's going to go to a more intense way of releasing, breaking a leg or an arm or doing something along those lines. It is a more serious level of injury. And if that doesn't work, then it's going to go into illness. If the illness doesn't clear it, then the body will go into a disease or unusual behavior for you. And that's the key, unusual behavior for you. You may have behaviors or habits that other people think are unusual, but they're normal to you. So that would not fall into this category. It's when you start doing something that that is not normal for you. That is another way that the body is seeking its own balance. Now, where your body hurts is your higher self's way of telling you what false belief, what core belief is in action, where to go and look. It's like when we were talking earlier about the core beliefs, and I was giving you the side of the body that it affects. The false beliefs of I want to have my own way, to think a thing and makes it so, and it's important to please others, all affect the left side of the body. And I think okay, here we go. Give me a call, please. I'd love to hear from you. I've been listening to myself now for a very long time, and I would really, really, really like to listen to you some. So anyway, getting back to what I was saying. The left side of the body is affected by the core beliefs of I want to have my own way, to think a thing makes it so, and if only he, she, it, or they would change, I'd be okay. So anytime that you have an injury or discomfort, aches, or pains on the left side of the body, before you go to the physical manifestation of something being wrong in that way, look at your beliefs. Look at what's been going on. Now, there is a rule of thumb that you will react within 72 hours. It's kind of like the universe gives us 72 hours, 3 days, to figure out what pushed our button. If we can figure out what pushed our button, which belief we gave our power away to within that 72 hours, then the imbalance will go away and there will be no physical manifestation. But if we just keep ignoring it and ignoring it and ignoring it, then it will lock into the body and will have to go through the physical process of the body to be cleared. So it's so much easier and a lot less uncomfortable if you just go and ask yourself. Yourself has all the answers. But if we never ask it, we're not going to get the answers. And everybody's going to hear their higher self in a different way. There is no template. There is no format for listening to your guides. We have done this since the day we came into this world, and we just have to remember the way that works for us. Some people will actually hear it in their head. Some people will have a knowing. Some people will have a sensation. Everybody gets their answers differently, but everybody gets their answers. And it's so easy to say, oh, well, I don't. No, but I don't get anything. It's just nothing. And that's true on the surface, in the icing. But you've got to keep going past the icing to get into the cake, because that's where the beauty is. That's where the jewels are, the information. So on the right side of the body, that is affected by the false belief of it's important to please others, and I'm going to change so everyone will like me. It's not important to please others. And you don't need to change so others will like you. You just need to see who you really are and start liking yourself, and then be that person, and you will discover that everyone already does like you. Now, the one that is the biggie is the fourth decision. It's important to please others. Don't ask questions, just do and believe as you are told by authority. That affects the body from the solar plexus down. Lower back, stomach, legs, feet, everything from the solar plexus down. That belief is controlled by fear. Anytime you feel ache, pain, discomfort, imbalance from your solar plexus down, the core emotion involved is fear. Now again, this is a roadmap that your body is giving you, and it's layered. Anger is a manifestation. Cuts, skin eruptions, anything like that is a manifestation of anger. Bruises, self-punishment. Everything that happens to your body is a message from your higher self trying to get you to look and see what it is that you need to be looking at. Because where your attention is directed and what you're focusing on, which is outside yourself, is not the answer. That is the distraction. It's just like any situation, circumstance, or experience is the book Creator is using to teach you a lesson you have asked to learn. There may be a lot of other people involved in that situation or experience, but I guarantee you they're going to be learning from a different chapter in that book. So it's important not to focus on the experience, the situation, or the circumstance, but to look at what it's teaching you. What are you being shown through this experience? What opportunity are you being given to shift the crystal? So again, if you cut your finger on your right hand, and let's say you cut your index finger, your fingers represent the details of your life. And your index finger represents fear and ego. So it's on the right side of the body, which the right side of the body is letting you know that you're holding resentment. That's the pleasing side. So you need to ask yourself, from the moment that you cut your finger back as far as 72 hours, what is the message? What am I not looking at? The details of my life in the moment dealing with fear and ego. Where did I give my power away? Okay, I'm trying to please other people, or I'm trying to change me to please other people. How has that played out in my life in the last 72 hours? And as you ask these questions, something is going to pop into your mind, and it's going to be like this aha moment. You're going to literally be able to see how you were trying to please someone else at the expense of self-sacrifice, which we're taught is supposed to be the good thing to do, and it's not. If you constantly sacrifice yourself, how are you going to be able to assist anyone else? If you are constantly being sucked dry of all of your energy, your confidence, your love, your strength, because you don't believe you have it in the first place, well, you must have it if everybody's trying to take it from you. So look at it from that perspective. They can only take what you already have. And if you're not recognizing that you already have these qualities, these strengths, these gifts, other people are going to exploit it and take it from you. So again, going back to cutting your finger, a cut is a manifestation of anger. So what my body is telling me from that experience is that I was trying to please other people, to feed my ego, to stroke their ego, because I was afraid not to. I'm really, really angry about it, but I am, more resentful of not being able to control the situation so that it came out the way that I wanted to. When you experience fear, adrenaline is released in the body. The cut on the finger was the way that your body was balancing it. But where that cut was and on which side of the body, it could have been on the right side, on the left side. It would have been a whole different message. It could have been on a different finger. It could have been a whole different message. This may sound like it's complicated, but as you go through this process, as you begin to learn and understand step by step how these dots are connected, it becomes so obviously easy. You just won't be able to imagine ever having done it different. And I tell my students in my classes, this is the hardest, easy thing you'll ever do. The hard part is clicking to what it's about. But man, the minute that you get that, all the dominoes fall, and it makes this incredibly beautiful picture. The dots are connected, and it's just an amazing experience. So give me a call, 773-897-6227. I would love to hear from you. Share your story. How have you overcome some of the challenges that have been placed in your path? What are you still struggling with? Open up and share, because I guarantee you're not the only one in the world having these experiences. But your wisdom, your way of sharing is leaving little tidbits for anybody else to utilize as they may need it. And it may not be today or tomorrow, but there will become a time in each person's life where you will have an aha moment of going, aha, so that's what that meant. Now I get it. Okay. Of course, in my class, at this point, I would always be saying, okay, does anybody have any questions? I just want you to start thinking about who you truly are versus who you have been told that you're supposed to be. Not who you are, but who you're supposed to be. Who you are is incredible. And through this ascension process that humanity is partaking in and evolving, all of us, we're all beginning to vibrate at a higher rate. We're all beginning to understand what we know differently, to see different experiences, to see that when the old ways are not working anymore. When you allow any one of the beliefs or the decisions to control you via your lack of awareness, your spirit will let you know by manifesting an illness, injury, or pain in that part of the body. Ask yourself, what are you falsely believing about yourself? Once you have become aware of that, the need to get your attention is no longer necessary, so the pain, the illness, or the injury is eliminated. Learning to talk to your body is a wonderful, fun experience. Of figuring out, to me it always has been, of learning what the different parts of the body meant, and then whenever there was pain or discomfort, I just took it as a challenge to see, okay, let's see if this works. It's supposed to be this and this, and if it means that. And I would just play with it in a sense. It became a challenge to see if I could figure out what I was being told. And what I discovered is that when I used the tools, every single time it worked, you know. And that's the key, is that when something works all the time in any and every situation, it becomes a universal law. And a lot of this is what we're talking about. So I also wanted to kind of just review about what we were talking about with the core fears. There are two types of fear. We have the genetic fear. That's the one we're born into. That's in the grid. That's the one that every human passes through when we come into this world. And then there's the conditioned fears, the fears that we have personally experienced or that we have been taught to be afraid of. But there are three basic fears. Every person will function off of two of the three basic fears. You will never function off of all three of them. The first one is abandonment and separation. The second is surrender and trust. And the third is worth and value. Now, anytime you experience fear, real or imagined, it's going to be stemming from one of your two core fears. And remember, too, fear is a mask for anger. Anger, we have this illusion that we can deal with, but fear, we just don't know what to do with that emotion, and that's the most prevalent and the most common emotion. When you feel a fear, again, real or imagined, you need to ask yourself, in this situation, what is it that I do not trust? And then pause, wait, listen, and you'll get a knowing, you'll get a sense, you'll get a feeling. And it may not be right that moment, but all of a sudden you'll forget about it and you'll be doing something, distracting, watching TV, doing dishes, cleaning the car, whatever, and all of a sudden you'll just have this answer will pop into your head. You give a piece of yourself away every time you compromise yourself. Every time you don't own who you are, what you believe, think, say, and feel, it's like that you just give a little piece of you away, trying to get someone to give it back to you more than what they took. And that's not going to happen. So, we're almost done. If you have anything you would like to share, I invite you to give me a call, 773-897-6227. Okay. I wanted to invite you to go to my website. There's a lot of information about the tools, the 7 tools, about how to work with your chakras, a whole bunch of different information on the website that it would be extremely valuable and give you a foundation and a little bit more information about how the process works. It is the hardest, easy thing you'll ever do. And once you understand about how to work this to your benefit, how to listen to your body, how to know what you're being told when your body hurts, whenever you are out of balance, when you've stubbed your toe, when you get a cold. These things have meaning. And just because it's prevalent in the world doesn't mean that it doesn't have a special message for you. Everybody gets colds. Okay, but why did you get your cold at that point in your life, at this moment in time? What triggered it to happen now? And you are conditioning and programming. Well, you've been around other people who were sick. Yeah, but you've been around other people who were sick previously and you didn't get sick. So what created the imbalance in your body or in your world that that allowed your body to be open to this. Again, look at what a cold represents. Watery eyes, a need to cry. Sore throat, not saying what you want to say or saying something that you wish you hadn't. Sinuses plugged up, runny nose. That's conflict between wanting to have your own way and trying to please other people. There is so much information that your higher self is communicating to you through your body. And we have been told all of our lives in millions of different ways, verbally and non-verbally, not to go there. You know, the powers that be want you sick, miserable, and in ill health, because then you're not who you are. You're not strong. You're not shining your light. So get curious. Challenge yourself. Discover who you are beyond what you've been told. Challenge the status quo. Do you want to live in the box all your life, or do you want to open it up and take a breath of fresh air and see what else is out there? You are a spiritual being having a human experience. There is no good or bad or right or wrong. Everything just is. And it is our reaction to it that makes it good or bad or right or wrong. And when your reaction to something is negative and is keeping you in judgment, shift the crystal. See if there is another way you can see it that brings lightness and joy and happiness and peace to you. I want to thank you all for listening today. I hope that I have shared some information that will help you in your life. And I really look forward to hearing from you and hearing your story shared with us. So until next week, have a blessed and beautiful life. Shine bright and be who you truly are. It is a gift to the world, and the world would not be who it is without you in it. Many blessings.
When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can be confusing. Like Swedish techno confusing.
Bark, bark, meow, meow. Dance with me, purple cow. Bark, bark, meow, meow. Ooh, you lovely cow.
Geico makes it easy. With 24/7 access, all you have to do is go to Geico.com and you could save money on car insurance. It just makes sense. Unlike,
Dance with me, purple cow. I like your moves.
When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can be confusing. Like Swedish techno confusing.
Bark, bark, meow, meow. Dance with me, purple cow. Bark, bark, meow, meow. Ooh, you lovely cow.
Geico makes it easy. With 24/7 access, all you have to do is go to Geico.com and you could save money on car insurance. It just makes sense. Unlike,
Dance with me, purple cow. I like your moves.